Kind of headline. The FBI Director James Comey weighing in on ISIS here at home, a group that he says is threatening the U.S. more than Al-Qaeda. Congressman Adam Kinzinger out of Illinois, my guest now. And, sir, welcome back to America's Newsroom.
Thanks.
Quite a statement. I mean, how's that JV team looking today?
Not very good. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, this was the discussion when you saw ISIS rising up, when you saw what we thought was Al-Qaeda moving into Fallujah, which ended up being ISIS. The president obviously said, look a different way. It's not a big deal. What we're seeing today, so when the director says that ISIS is a bigger threat than Al-Qaeda, I think the thing to keep in mind is not that Al-Qaeda's been diminished to a point where it's not a threat, but that ISIS has grown to where it even eclipses Al-Qaeda. So we're almost at the one-year anniversary of taking action against ISIS, and the question is, are they weaker today than they were a year ago? And unfortunately, I have to say it doesn't appear that they are.
You know, I mean, it was September of last year when we were told that ISIS has no plans of attacking here in the United States. This has changed entirely in less than a year's time. What Comey said specifically is that there are 21,000 English-speaking followers on Twitter of ISIS. Of that 21,000, he believes thousands are here in the United States. And now you get a sense of why he says he is most concerned about what he cannot see.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's say of those thousands, say it's 2,000, just to pull a number out. Let's say 10% of those are actually willing to commit violence. That's 200 people. So you think of what happened in Chattanooga, you think of what happened in these terrorist attacks around the United States. Imagine if there's 200 people willing to go to the same lengths of doing that. This is a 21st century war. We've got to think in a 21st century way. And frankly, the President of the United States, I'll tell you, Bill, I'm getting really tired of this kind of tiptoeing around what the real issue is, rallying the American people from the Oval Office to defeat this cancer of ISIS. Instead, we've appeared more interested in pleasing the Cubans and pleasing the Iranians through a deal. It's time for the president to stand in front of the American people and say, under my watch, we will destroy the threat of ISIS because we absolutely can do it, and here's how.
That's a direct message. But he was at the Pentagon 2 weeks ago talking about this. You cut him slack on that or not?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think he has bad intentions. I just don't think he knows how to lead, and I frankly think he just wants to manage this problem until he's out of office. He came into office to end wars in the Middle East, and he's faced the reality of what he thought is very different. So I think part of the reason, look, he went to the Pentagon to make sure that the chiefs were all in line with what their words were, because they were all coming to Capitol Hill. But look, there's no group, there's no force like ISIS that could ever stand against the power of the U.S. military, the U.S. intelligence community, and our Western allies. And unfortunately, the president has not yet sufficiently rallied the American people to that cause. They're rallying him, in fact.
I get it. What if he went to the Oval Office, a venue that he doesn't seem to prefer when he makes addresses like this, as evidence over the past 7 years? Well, what effect would that have then? I mean, what are you looking for, sir?
So I think if he's in the Oval Office, it has a whole different depth and a different point of saying this is a very serious moment. And he can outline where ISIS came from, outline the threat that ISIS and Al-Qaeda pose, and radical jihadism like Al-Shabaab pose, and then say, here is how we're specifically going to address it. It's probably going to take more troops. It's definitely going to take special forces actions against the leaders to develop more and more targets, and probably continuing air strikes. But I think the American people want to know that the president has a handle on this, and he is clear-eyed, focused on destroying ISIS. If he does that, he's going to find a lot of allies out here in Washington that are willing to go along with this plan.
You think so, huh? So
if he can show us a way to win.
That's the way he could recruit people like you to his side?
If he can show us a clear path to victory and rally the American people, look, we won't play partisan politics with a jihadist enemy overseas, but instead I see a president that's too weak and too tepid to actually take on the cancer that we see.
We will see if you get your way, and if that changes.
Yeah, I hope.
Adam Kinzinger, thank you for your time. Republican from Illinois there on Capitol Hill.
Thanks.